back to another episode of the RGV Sports Podcast. My name is Bryan Ramos.
And I'm Palacios. First round of the playoffs in the book. I think half our teams are gone, but we still got 13 teams alive and kicking, hoping to make that playoff run last a little longer each week. So, Bryan, just thoughts in, 1 week in the playoffs. What are you thinking right now?
Yeah, on to round two for 13 Rio Grande Valley squads, and picked up some big by-district wins. We had some RGV versus RGV first-round matchups. Then we also had some Valley teams venture out and play some really good talent from the Coastal Bend and other areas here across South Texas. So we're going to get into it all and break it all down for you with a recap of that first round and look ahead to that area round preview coming up here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with second-round playoff games all across South Texas. But first, you guys can visit us at rgvsports.com and football.rgvsports.com for all the latest in Rio Grande Valley high school athletic news. And you can catch that full schedule breaking down. If you want to see it all in a list form, you can see all those area round matchups coming up here in round two, as well as all our updated stats and standings coming into following that by-district round of the playoffs. So we're going to dive into it now and start by recapping the first round of the Texas High School Football Playoffs. We had plenty of squads in action from Class 2A all the way up to Class 6A, and we had a bunch of teams at Vance Ivan, actually in every classification, really, 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A. So we're going to break that all down for you and recap the week that was there in by-district action. And we're going to kick off with the big dogs at the Class 6A level, Ivan, and we had some good action going down between some Valley teams there in Class 6A.
Yeah, so we'll start with Class 6A D1. For those of you who don't know, in 6A, it's they don't get split up until after the regular season. So you got 32 6A, 31 6A. Teams with the highest enrollment go to, or the playoff teams with the highest enrollment go to 6A D1. Lower enrollment goes to 6A D2. So kick things off. Let's start with Los Fresnos and Edinburgh Economides. Los Fresnos entered this one as a district champ, and Economides making their first playoff appearance since 2017. And, Los Fresnos showed who they are. They're the district champs for a reason, and they dominate the Jaguars 42-13 Friday at Leo Aguilar Memorial Stadium. They scored 14 in the first, 14 in the second, 14 in the third. That's all they needed. They didn't need to score in the third quarter or the fourth quarter anymore. And just an all-around great performance by the Falcons. Robert Pineda throws for 135 and 3 touchdowns, rushes for another. You get Lucky Perales, who has 5 catches, 48 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the defense, they block a field goal, they block a punt, and they have 2 interceptions here in the game. Just an
nice
all-around performance by the Falcons, taking down the Jaguars 42-13, and move on into that area round. They were there 2 years ago. Last year, they got bounced in the first round by PSJ High. Now they're back in that area round. So that's, the first of 2 6A D1 matches that featured Valley versus Valley teams. And just to, continue off that, we had Wesleco High, San Benito, Saturday afternoon game right under the sun. And
college football field. So.
Yeah, it felt like a college football game out there. And, Wesleco High, they came in with a mission. This is a team they played before. Beating a team twice in the same year is a tough task, and they made it look easy. From the first play, pick 6 by DB Ryan Gonzalez to the house. Jacob Villa comes up with another interception on the next drive. Just defense playing lights out, and then you got Chris Luna. We've talked about him all year. Kid's an athlete, no matter where he lines up. Finishes with 5 catches, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Both of them in the first half. So just, they go up 28-0 after one half, and that's all they needed. Second half, a little bit of sloppy play by Wesleco, but their defense played lights out. Their offense kind of kept the ball moving enough to keep San Benito off the board. Frankie Trevino finishes with 156 and 3 touchdowns. Also has 47 yards on the ground, and just a good performance from the start, and the finish was a little shaky, but Wesleco High back in that second round for a second straight year. You got to see them a little against McAllen Memorial earlier this year, I think.
For Wesleco to have this success after going 10-0, and everybody thought, that they definitely take a step back, and they might not have won a district title this year, but you'd rather keep your season going for another extra week there, as the Panthers are doing with that by-district win. So. Yeah, big win for Wesleco there in Class 6A action.
And you mentioned they didn't win the district title, so just moving on to the next, 6A D2, we had the district champion from 31 6A. That's the PSJ High Bears taking on the number 4 seed from 32 6A, which was the Harlingen High Cardinals. And I think a lot of people expected this to be a blowout, and it was early on. The PSJ High jumps out to a 35-14 lead at the break. big half for Miles Lopez, Caleb Salas, and those receivers. Ryan Vallejo, big first half. But Harlingen High School made it interesting in that second half. First play of the second half, 50-yard touchdown to Maddox Hernandez. That was his third touchdown on as many catches. He finishes with 3 catches, over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then they get a much-needed turnover on downs and another touchdown. 2 minutes in, just like that, into the second half. We're 35-28. Harlingen High is making this one interesting. The Bears respond, however. They outscore them 20-0 in the fourth quarter to secure the win, including a pick six by DB Jesus Garza there at the goal line. That was one of 4 interceptions by the Bears on the day, and that one I think kind of just broke the camel's back there. Harlingen High couldn't recover, and PSJ High goes on to win 55-28 against Harlingen High, and just huge game from that offense. Miles Lopez over 450 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb Salas 217 yards and 2 touchdowns through the receiving. Ryan Vallejo 211 yards and a touchdown receiving. And these are kids, and Caleb and Ryan and some of those guys on defense. They played this Harlingen team as sophomores. Mm-hmm. They got blown out 49-0 this year. They had a little chip on their shoulder coming into this one. Yep. They wanted to get a little get back. Now they're seniors. They get that get back, and they're moving on to that next round. So shout out the Bears. Shout out to Harlingen. I know it was a tough year for them. They went through 4 different quarterbacks this season.
Yeah, and if I can say something about Harlingen, I think we saw, like you said, Ivan, the roller coaster of a season for them, overcame a lot of adversity and injuries. But here against PSJ High in a winner-go-home game, they might have played their best game that they have all season with everything on the line. So gutsy performance from Harlingen in a game that nobody thought that they would have a chance. People thought they'd lose by, maybe 3 scores, couldn't keep up with PSJ High's prolific offense, but hey, man, Coach Gomez will get those guys to fight, and they did that. So nothing to hang their head about after that first round loss.
The exciting part is a lot of these guys are juniors, sophomores coming back next year. So the big things coming up for Harlingen. They also got that freshman quarterback got hurt early year on, coming back next year, should be back stronger. So shout out the Cardinals, for a heck of a year and putting up a fight every game, and shout out the Bears going into that second round again. And just to keep things going there at the 6A D2 level, the last matchup, Valley versus Valley, we had Brownsville Veterans hosting Edinburgh High. And the Veterans' first playoff game as a 6A team, and it seemed almost a decade, and they hadn't played at that 6A level. They played 2 years in there, had never won a playoff game at the 6A level. They do this one big time. They take down the Bobcats 47-9 in the opening round, and it was just all Brownsville vets from the beginning. They jump out 28-0 early. That rushing attack just too much for Edinburgh High. Over 300 yards. I think they had 5 touchdowns on the ground. Quarterback Storm Montoya, 103 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. And kids that, he's an athlete. You get him the ball, he's going to make plays for you. And had 40 passing yards through the air. And I think this is the year that Brownsville Vets just wants to show. Last year wasn't a fluke. 5A, 6A, we can hang with whoever is in front of us. And they did it during the regular season. Yeah, they didn't win a district title, but they, some balls didn't bounce their way against Los Fresnos. But they're coming in, they're showing that they can hang with the big dogs, and now they're moving on to the second round. First playoff win at the 6A level for the Chargers. So shout out the Chargers for that huge win. Edinburgh High, heck of a year, tough district. I don't think many people knew what to expect coming out of this year with them, but JT Santa Maria put together some big wins there. And, now they're, it's off to the off season now, and meanwhile, Brownsville Vets preparing for that second round of the 6A playoffs.
Yeah, so that wraps up those 4 Class 6A bi-district playoff matchups in Division 1 and Division 2. That leads us right in to Class 5A, and we'll start off with 5A D1. And we had 4 games, 2 featuring Valley versus Valley teams, and another 2 that saw some of the Valley teams going up against teams from the Coastal Bend. So we'll get into that recap right now. And man, Ivan, Edinburgh Vella, they finished the regular season as a number 1 team. They go 10-0 to finish the regular season, only undefeated team here in the Rio Grande Valley. They open up the playoffs against Harlingen South, and it took 1 play to really kind of know how the game was going to go. But Vella said, "Hey, you know what? We'll score twice in 2 plays to really set the tone in this one." So Edinburgh Vella, man, they pick up a 58-27 win over Harlingen South in this one. Like I said, 2 plays, 2 touchdowns for Vella. They opened it up right away. First play, Jeffrey Lefevre finds receiver June Garza behind the South defense for a 64-yard touchdown. Then after the Vella defense forces a 3-and-out, running back Jonathan Flores breaks free for a 60-yard touchdown on the second play of the game for the SaberCats. And it was just all SaberCats from then on, man. They were up 30-0 at the half. 4 first half touchdowns. Defense gets in on the action with a safety, and defensively, the SaberCats finished this game with 5 takeaways, 4 interceptions from Sergio Briones, Devin Caballero, Derek Rodriguez, and Nicolas Guevara, who returned his for a pick 6. That's a defensive end picking off a screen pass and returning it to the house for about a 35-yard touchdown there. So, yeah, this Vela team, man, they were up 30-0 at half. Harlingen South doesn't go down quietly. They're able to score some points there in the third and fourth quarter, but Edinburgh Vela had the game in hand. Quarterback Jeffrey Lefevre finishes with 260 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 touchdowns on the ground on quarterback sneaks. Jonathan Flores, 12 carries, 252 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receptions for 25 yards, and a receiving touchdown. So just a really good game for them. And June Garza, 3 catches, 77 yards, 2 scores. And Harlingen South, we got to give credit to them, man. I mean, they got one of the best 1-2 punches in the game here, and we saw that here in the second half against Edinburgh Vela. Senior running back Alvin Edwards, 152 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Dylan Anaya, 199 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And then Luis Orozco also scores 1 on the ground for the Hawks. But yeah, Vela, man, just in complete control from start to finish. Maybe took their foot off the brakes in the second half, but I mean, this game was over really by the end of the first quarter. But yeah, Vela just kind of flexing their muscle, proving to 11-0 overall, advancing to that area round. So big win for the SaberCats there in round 1 at Richard R. Flores Stadium, and they'll get to play at home again in round 2. So we'll get into that in just a second. But to stay at the 5A D1 level, Ivan, PSG North over La Jolla Palmview, 43-3. This one was all PSG North. They're up 28-0 at the half. They scored 2 more times in the third quarter before kind of calling the dogs off there in this one. And PSG North, I mean, they did what they do, man. They play good defense. They run the ball, and they play sound special teams. Nick Torres kicks off the scoring with a rushing touchdown on an end around. Ethan Guerra finishes with 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving touchdown. Darren Garcia, 1 passing touchdown to Ethan Guerra, and 1 rushing touchdown on the ground. And then the defense gets in on the scoring fun as AJ Villarreal scoops and scores for an 8-yard fumble return for a PSG North defensive touchdown. So PSG North, man, rolling on all cylinders here to open up the playoffs, and we'll see what they can do, man. PSG North has some seniors that have started since they were freshmen. Those guys have won 7 playoff games over the last 3 years, and make that 8 following that first round win over Palmview. So big win for PSG North as they look to put together another playoff run here at the 5A D1 level. And now, before we continue our recap of that first round and by district playoff action, we like to take a moment to thank our sponsors here at RGV Sports for helping us shine a light on high school sports here in the Rio Grande Valley.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mario Del Pino.
And I am Dr. Arturo Torices, and we are board-certified general surgeons who specialize in bariatric surgery. Today, we want to discuss the difference between weight loss shots and weight loss surgery.
Weight loss shots, such as GLP-1 medications, are intended for people who want to lose between 15 and 25 pounds. That's the average weight loss you have. They promote a feeling of fullness, they control your appetite. But not everybody responds to these medications. Maybe about 75 to 80% of people respond. Some people don't at all, or some people have side effects like nausea, bloating, or have a reaction, like an allergic reaction.
On the other hand, we have bariatric surgery. I mean, we've studied bariatric surgery, and we know that nowadays is the most effective and long-term management of weight loss. And bariatric surgery actually is also called metabolic surgery. Why? Because it's not just losing weight, but also we're improving and we're helping other medical problems related with being obese, like diabetes or sugar problems, having high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, etc. That's the reason why bariatric surgery is more effective.
But I tell my patients, if you want to lose some weight, yes, medications are a good option. But if you want to lose real weight, we're talking about 60, 75, 90, 100 pounds, then weight loss surgery is a better option for you. The other thing you have to take into consideration is that most people who are started on this weight loss medications stop the medications after a year, and long term, more costly.
Obesity is a chronic problem, and you need to take medications chronically. Once you stop, you're gonna regain the weight. On the other hand, when you undergo bariatric surgery, you're gonna have a long-term result and everything's gonna improve for a long time.
So if you are considering options for weight loss, I encourage you to do your homework, read about medication, surgery. Thank you for listening, and remember, we're here to support you on your journey to better health.
Thank you.
And once again, thank you to our sponsors for helping us out here at RGV Sports, shine a light and highlight high school athletics and high school athletes that we have here in the Rio Grande Valley. So Ivan, to keep this thing moving, man, we'll dive into 5A. To stay at 5A D1 for a second, we had Corpus Christi veterans pick up a big win over Mission High to advance, and then Flower Bluff pick up a win here in McAllen over McAllen Memorial to punch their ticket. So and as far as 5A D1 goes, Edinburgh Vela, PSG North advance, and Corpus Christi Veterans, Flower Bluff advance. So actually all four of those teams were district champions. As Vela won 16-5A D1, and then Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi Vets, and of course the PSG North Raiders finished as tri-champs there in 15-5A D1. So all those teams on to the second round. So congratulations to those guys for moving on. And now we'll dive into 5A Division II, Ivan, and man, we saw I think a bit closer matchups here at the 5A D1 level, Ivan. And let's start off with a team that we've both seen this year, Ivan. The Ed Couch Elsa Yellow Jackets pick up a playoff win over the Mission Veterans Patriots, 15-7, Ivan. And the name of the game was in this one was the defense for Ed Couch Elsa. That's been their bread and butter all season.
Yes, sir.
And they turned to it again. Just your thoughts on the Yellow Jackets defense and how they're able to kind of lead this turnaround for the Yellow Jackets this year that led to that district title and a playoff win here in round one.
Yeah, so I talked to Coach Victor Cardenas after they beat Lopez, secured that outright title, and he said they hang their hat on that, that defense, or that Thunder D, what they like to call it, and they got some ballers. I mean, from Matthew Cano, Nathan Amaya, Israel, what's his name? Israel, he's the leader in interceptions here in the RGV. Then you got Matt Enriquez. They just got playmakers all around, and I mean, they say defense wins championships. They won them a district championship. Now they get that by-district win thanks to their defense. I mean, I think they had an interception return for offense doesn't score any points. They have interception return for a touchdown, 7 points off field goals and extra points. I mean, just huge performance, man.
Yeah, and in this one, man, it wasn't easy for the Yellow Jackets either. Mission Veterans opened up a 7-0 lead to take it into the locker room after a Benjamin Martinez touchdown run. To give the Patriots a 7-0 lead. And that stadium, man, Benny Layton Senior Memorial Stadium, we know how raucous the Black Hole can get there in Elsa. And at halftime, it was not that. But in the second half, they turned up the noise a bit there. They turned it up a notch. And like we said, Ivan, kicker Jesus Ramirez nails 2 30-yard field goals for 6 points. Defensive, linebacker Matthew Connell, and really we say linebacker. I know he's played on the D line, outside linebacker in the middle. This game he was playing safety, and he produces a pick six return for a 50-yard touchdown by Matthew Connell, which gave the Yellow Jackets the lead there in the second half. And then for good measure, they had a safety late in the game with the sack in the end zone. So Ed Couch Elsa scores 15 points all in the second half to pull off that comeback win over the Mission Veterans Patriots. So congratulations to Ed Couch Elsa. And Mission Veterans, man, they started a freshman quarterback in this one. They had Ed Couch Elsa on the ropes going into that second half. So we'll see if Mission Veterans can build on this going forward as they head into that 2025 season and head into this offseason looking for some growth there. And Ed Couch Elsa, man, they advanced to the area round, first time since 2016 for the Yellow Jackets. So big win for La Máquina here in round one. And Ivan, to keep things moving here in 5A D1, Mercedes, Ed Couch Elsa's biggest rival, also moving on. They pick up a 45-20 win over Sheridan High. And really, Ivan, I mean, Robert Sanchez has been the guy all year. He was the guy in this one again. 206 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Just your thoughts on Mercedes. And I mean, they lost to Sheridan when they played earlier this year in the shootout, and they get their revenge here in the one that really matters in by-district playoff action.
Yeah, it's like we mentioned earlier. Beating a team twice in a year is never easy. There's adjustments. They've seen you once. They know what to expect. And Mercedes came out and they delivered. You mentioned Robert Sanchez, but you also got to give some credit to that senior quarterback, Aaron Cortez. He took over full-time starting role after that in the game against Lopez. So I think it was their second or first district game. He was splitting time with Diego Bravo. Bravo goes down with an injury. Cortez is handed the reins. I mean, what a performance this game, though. 3 of 3, 70 yards and 1 touchdown. Carries the ball 22 times for 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's just, what a game. I mean, he led them to second place finish in that district. He stepped up, and he's been stepping up, and it's just been complimentary football with him and Roberts. And he's a senior, but the good thing is they get Robert Sanchez back next year, but they're not done yet. They pick up that huge win. Last time they played Sharyland, quarterback Calvin Harris, big game against them. Wasn't a non-factor, but they definitely neutralized them compared to last time.
Yeah.
So huge win for Mercedes, punching their ticket to the second round. And just shout out Robert Sanchez and Eric Cortez, man. It's a young team, too. They got a lot of freshmen starting out there that are making plays for them as well. Noah Brenrostro, Frank Salinas. I mean, they got some playmakers out there that are going to come back. And it's just this Mercedes team. They had a couple of years that were struggling, and now they look like they're ready to get back on track.
Absolutely, and so congratulations to the Mercedes Tigers keeping their season alive and advancing to the area round. Now to stay at 5A D2, Sharyland Pioneer picked up a 35-21 win over Brownsville Lopez to send the Diamondbacks into that second round. And Ivan William Goodlow, 106 passing yards, two passing touchdowns, 107 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and then you got to give it up for their kind of two-headed backfield. Dylan Tijerina, 15 carries for 79 yards, and Marcus Pedales, 7 carries for 70 yards, and that was the recipe for success, man. We're going to run the ball on these guys. We'll pick our spots over the top when we see openings in the passing game, and they were there a couple of times, but the majority of the work got done on the ground behind Goodlow, Tijerina, and Perales. But Brownsville Lopez, man, I mean, we just got to give credit to Coach Tarantola and those guys, man.
Yeah.
And they got a senior squad that had done something that hadn't been done in quite some time there in Brownsville Lopez, giving the Lobos community and fans and school something to cheer about this year. So we got to give it up to, like we said, Coach Tarantola, his staff, and then their seniors, man, Lupe Ramirez, Eddie Slovak, and Gabriel Rios. Just 3 guys that just delivered game in, game out for those guys. And shout out to the rest of those guys, the Lobos, man, for just putting together a solid season. Eddie Slovak, 28 carries, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns in defeat. So they didn't go down without a fight, man. So shout out to Brownsville Lopez on a successful season, making it back to the playoffs for the first time in a few years. And then congratulations to Sharyland Pioneer. They came into this one, graduated a good group last season. Lost a lot of their offensive production, but here they are advancing to the area round after a good 35-21 win over Brownsville Lopez. So that wraps up our 5A Division 1 and Division 2 recap. Now to dive into those sub 5A squads, Ivan. We got 4 teams moving on at the sub 5A level. Let's start with let's start with that 4A level, right? Let's keep it in order, going down from 6A all the way to down to Class 2A, and even some private school action here.
Yes, sir.
So let's kick it off. Ivan, Port Isabel picks up a big first-round playoff win over Ingleside.
Yeah, man, Port Isabel, they dropped 2 games this year. One was to St. Joseph, who obviously we know is one of the top teams in the area. The other was a La Feria game that they were pretty much in till the end, and so they ended up finishing as tri-district champs there in the 16 4A D2 level, and they come out and they pick a huge win over Ingleside, 28-21. Luis Ramos has been doing it for them all year. He goes over 130 total yards, and they tap into that passing game too. You don't see them throw many passes. They may have 3 completions for 108 yards, and huge win for Coach Tony V and the Tarpons there, heading into that second round of the playoffs with a huge win over Ingleside. And you never know with this PI team. They can get dirty, they can get down and get nasty, and they can make any game into a game. And it just makes them interesting to watch going into that next round of the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, and to keep things moving now, we had one Class 3A team advance, and that was the Rio Hondo Bobcats with the 52-20 win over Corpus Christi London. And man, I mean, for Rio Hondo, I mean, we saw them, you saw them actually earlier in the season, and they came out. I think they came out on top of that game, or excuse me, that was against Port Isabel, right?
Yeah, they lost to Port Isabel in overtime. It was an overtime loss, but
and in I think it was that game where they lost Key.
They lost Key in that same game. Yeah.
So yeah, they lost one of their best players right out of the bat in week 2, and Rio Hondo been able to bounce back since then, kind of put that behind them, rely on the guys they got on the field, and they come down and deliver a big win here 50 points in the playoffs, not easy to do. They dominate Corpus Christi London. Ruben Atkinson, Rio Hondo quarterback, 148 passing yards and a touchdown, 105 yards on the ground and 2 rushing touchdowns. And then Mario Lopez, their running back, 27 carries, 180 rushing yards, and receiver Emmanuel Perez, 5 catches, 97 yards, and a score. So Rio Hondo, man, they pick up a big win over Corpus Christi London to punch their ticket to the second round. So shout out to the Bobcats for taking care of business and keeping their season alive and advancing to that area round. And then now keeping things moving down to Class 2A Division II, La Villa picks up a 42-20 win over Luis. And in this one, man, it was just dominance by La Villa from start to finish. It was close early, but La Villa, they pull ahead after Luis had some life early. Andrew Gonzalez, 3 rushing touchdowns. Isaiah Felix, 1 rushing touchdown. Frankie Ray Gonzalez, 1 rushing touchdowns. But in this one, man, I think the biggest performance came from defensive back and I guess we should say athlete in Sean Sines, who came up with 3 interceptions on defense, 6 tackles, and also had 1 rushing touchdown to get in on the scoring fund there offensively. So, man, just an all-around performance from the La Villa Cardinals as they pick up a big win in Freer over Luis. So they go on the road, neutral site, to play this one, and they come home with a big win to advance back to the area round.
7 straight wins now. They started 0-3. Now they're 7 straight wins, man.
Yeah, La Villa, man, they're peaking at the right time. So congratulations to them on keeping their season going and moving on to the area round. And Ivan, last but certainly not least, in our sub 5A kind of recap, the Brownsville St. Joseph Bloodhounds, man. I mean, they do what they've done all season, Ivan. You were there, you saw them in person. Dominant performance. Why don't you break it down for us?
Yeah, man. So Brownsville St. Joseph, they host Houston Lutheran South, and it kind of felt like Lutheran South wasn't taking them seriously. They didn't come out for the national anthem. They came out right when kickoff started. It seemed like they were just thinking they were going to walk over this St. Joseph team. It was far from it. Brownsville St. Joseph dominates Houston Lutheran South 40-14 at home to advance to that regional round. You know, in TAPS they go area, regional, state semis, state championship. So they're 1 win away from that state semifinal and 2 wins away from reaching that state title game. So, you know, they went a little different than they're used to. You're used to seeing these Bloodhounds line up in shotgun formation. They played stump ball, as Coach Tino Villarreal, you know, noted it. They've been using Coach Monty's stump ball as a consultant all year, and they brought it out tonight. They knew they can do it, and they rushed 50 times for 433 yards and 5 touchdowns. Claudio Torres, man, we talked about him all year. They carried him. They put the game on his back, and he delivered 34 carries, 315 yards, and 4 scores, 3 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. And he leads the team in tackles with 7. Just all-around performance. You know, it was just a great performance by them Bloodhounds, and they're showing I think it was a statement that we can play. You know, some people are like, oh, Houston, they're going to lose, but they've shown we can hang with whoever. And now they're moving on to that area. I think first time in about 3 or 4 years that they've done that. And it's a special group they got there, man. From Diego de la Cruz there at, you know, on the offensive line, Claudio Torres playing running back, receiver, whatever everything is. Gavin Cisneros at quarterback, and that defense has some dogs. Alejandro Garcia, Claudio there too. You know, just an all-around great team that can make some serious noise here down the stretch. They got a big one coming up, and you know, but shout out to Coach Tino, shout out to Coach Stumball too. I mean, to come out there, help these guys, and you know, when you see him line up under center, it's like, but you got the guys like Diego there opening holes for you. I mean, you got Claudio ready to make defenders miss. What a performance! And shout out the coaching staff, man. They saw the weakness and they exposed it, and you know they played to it like that. I think that's been the most impressive thing about this team is they've adjusted week by week depending on who they're playing. It's like, oh, we need to go in dry this week, we'll go in dry. Oh, we're gonna throw the ball this week, let's do it. So shout out the Bloodhounds and you know Coach Tino Villarreal. They're moving on to the next round of the TAPS postseason, man.
Yeah, keeping things moving, man. So congratulations to the Bloodhounds on that one.
Yeah, man. So, and you know, before you know we dive in to our preview for next week, just a quick moment to listen to a message from our sponsors who make covering our local high school athletes possible.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mario Del Pino.
And I am Dr. Arturo Torices, and we are board-certified general surgeons who specialize in bariatric surgery. Today, we want to discuss the difference between weight loss shots and weight loss surgery.
Weight loss shots, such as GLP-1 medications, are intended for people who want to lose between 15 and 25 pounds. That's the average weight loss you have. They promote a feeling of fullness. They control your appetite. But not everybody responds to these medications. Maybe about 75 to 80% of people respond. Some people don't at all, or some people have side effects like nausea, bloating, or have a reaction, like an allergic reaction.
On the other hand, we have bariatric surgery. I mean, we've studied bariatric surgery and we know that nowadays is the most effective and long-term management of weight loss. And bariatric surgery actually is also called metabolic surgery. Why? Because it's not just losing weight, but also we're improving and we're helping other medical problems related with being obese, like diabetes or sugar problems, having high blood pressure, cholesterol problems, etc. That's the reason why bariatric surgery is more effective.
But I tell my patients, if you want to lose some weight, yes, medications are a good option. But if you want to lose real weight, we're talking about 60, 75, 90, 100 pounds, then weight loss surgery is a better option for you. The other thing you have to take into consideration is that most people who are started on these weight loss medications stop the medications after a year, and long term, more costly.
Obesity is a chronic problem, and you need to take medications chronically. Once you stop, you're gonna regain the weight. On the other hand, when you undergo bariatric surgery, you're gonna have a long-term result and everything's gonna improve for a long time.
So if you are considering options for weight loss, I encourage you to do your homework, read about medication, surgery. Thank you for listening, and remember, we're here to support you on your journey to better health.
Thank you.
shout out once again to our sponsors that make all this possible. They allow us to bring you this type of coverage from the podcast to our stats and standings. And, 13 teams alive now, Bryan, and we're heading to that second round. Some people trying to get out of the third round. So why don't we just begin at the 6A level? Last year, all our teams saw their season end here in this round. So these teams here looking to get into that next round. And, we'll start at the 6A D1 level with Wesleco High. They'll take on San Antonio East Central Friday at 7 p.m. in Laredo at Shirley Field. And, East Central comes into this one with an 8-3 record. They took down Laredo United South 49-28 this last week. But Wesleco High is hungry. They got to this round last year, and they lost the game that they feel they should have won. And I talked to Chris Luna after the game, and he was talking about this team is focused. And it's not the same group, obviously. You lost guys like Eli Rodriguez, Andres Sepulveda at quarterback, but they got some ballers out there, and they feel like they can really hang with this San Antonio East Central team. So it'll be an interesting one to watch for sure. And then just to keep things rolling there at the 6A D1 level, we have Los Fresnos versus Buda Johnson Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Alamo Dome, man. They get to play in the Dome, so that's Saturday at 3 p.m. And Buda Johnson, really good squad up there near the Austin area. They're 7-4. They took down Laredo United 41-14. But this Falcons squad really seems special. I mean, you got Robert Pineda at quarterback. You got guys like Cade Stumbaugh, Josh Blaster. They're playing on the defensive side of the ball. They got playmakers, and they feel like they can hang too. And they haven't been out of the second round since 2017. And I think the last time we had a 6A team make it was about 2 years ago. Harlingen High made it to that third round where they played Dripping Springs. But, Los Fresnos looking to be the ones to do it there. I mean, you've seen Robert over the past couple of years. Just thoughts on him and what he brings to this Los Fresnos squad, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a spark, man. It just you think that there's not room, he can't make a play here, and you would be wrong. He's able to find holes, find room on the ground, and he's also got that, I mean, just top end speed to leave people in the dust. So there's Los Fresnos squad. They got some dudes on defense as well. So I'm looking forward to them and this matchup Saturday, college football field at the Alamo Dome.
Yes,
how about that one?
Yeah, and then just to keep things rolling, man, I mean, you're staying at the 6A level. We move on to D2 now. We have PSJ High taking on Cebolos Deal. That's this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Hero Stadium in San Antonio. And, it's a tough one for PSJ. Cebolos only lost once all year. They took down Laredo Alexander 56-14. And, it's going to be a tough matchup there. But, Coach Lupe Rodriguez has faith in his team. He said it's football. Anything can happen. Sometimes you just need the ball to bounce your way. And who knows, man. It's definitely a tough task ahead, but they got playmakers of their own. You got Ryan Vallejo, you got Caleb Salas, Miles Lopez at quarterback. That defense has played solid, and it won't be easy, but they have hope, they have belief, and there's they're going to go out there and they're going to give it their all against this Cebolos team that many expect to come out of the region. So that's this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Hero Stadium, and our last 6A D2 matchup, is the Brownsville Veterans Chargers. We talked about them earlier. They're returning to 6A this year, and they take on New Braunfels Canyon at 7 p.m. Friday at Hero Stadium. I think Coach Bush from UTRG coached that team last year, So some familiarity there with the Valley. And New Braunfels is coming off a win over Medina Valley, 31-14. They're 7-4 overall right now. But this Chargers team, man, it doesn't matter the size. They know they're going to be undersized almost every game. They're a 6A, but they're like right there on the cusp of being a 5A. They know that they're not the biggest team, but they can hit, man. They're going to fly to the ball. They're going to hit you in the mouth and make you wish you weren't touching the ball anymore. So they make you not want to play. And it's going to be an interesting matchup there this Friday at Hero Stadium. See if the Chargers can move into that third round. I think it'll be the third straight year they do that if they do. They did it 2 years ago. They did it last year. Obviously, we saw their run. Can they do it again? Interesting matchup there. Brownsville Vets, New Braunfels Canyon, Friday at 7 p.m. at Hero Stadium.
Yeah, that some good 6A matchups going on just across South Texas and Laredo, and a few there in San Antonio. So good luck to those guys as they kick everything off Thursday and then continue Friday and Saturday. Now to move on to our Class 5A D1 kind of preview. And Ivan, we got a second round matchup going on here in the Rio Grande Valley. The Edinburgh Vela SaberCats, the number one team here at our RGVsports.com football rankings, will take on the Smithson Valley Rangers, who finished the year 9-2 against Edinburgh Velas 11-0. It'll be interesting to see this one, man. I mean, Smithson Valley, we saw them last year. They finished as the 5A D1 state runner-up. made it to that state championship game after defeating Brownsville Veterans in the state semifinals. They took care of business against Brownsville Veterans, so we got an up close look at just what they looked like last year and how good they are. But Edinburgh Vela, they're going to look to upset them here at home at Richard R. Flores Stadium. This game, 7 p.m. Friday at Richard R. Flores Stadium in Edinburgh. And when they came down to the toss and flipping for location, I know head coach Arnel Alonso said, "Hey man, we're gonna go with the toss, no neutral site. If we win the toss, we're playing home. We lose, we're going away, and we're going to become some road dogs." So they won this toss. Now they get to host Smithson Valley here in Edinburgh. So big time matchup there. We'll see if the Edinburgh Vela Sabercats can make some noise and kind of shock the world here against Smithson Valley, a team that some people think can make a run there at another kind of state semifinals, winning the region here in 5A D1. But I think Edinburgh Vela will be up to that test, man. We'll see what Edinburgh Vela can do. Smithson Valley picks up a 49-7 win over South San Antonio in round one to punch that ticket to this area round for that matchup with the Sabercats. And to stay at 5A D1, we got the PSG North Raiders versus the New Braunfels Unicorns, one of the best mascots here just in Texas high school football, but still not better than the Progreso Red Ants. That's a story for another day. PSG North Raiders, 10-1 overall. New Braunfels, 8-3 on the year. This one should be a good one, man. PSG North, we know how good they are, man. They may not be number one in that RGV Sports poll, but man, I mean, they play just as good as anyone here in South Texas, man. So we're expecting a good one out of this one. The PSG North Raiders take on the New Braunfels Unicorns, 7 p.m. Friday at Phil Donaher Stadium in Corpus Christi. That's Calallen's, the Wildcats' home field there in Corpus. So, yeah, New Braunfels, they take care of business in round one against San Antonio J, 56-16 to advance to the area round, set up this matchup with PSG North, which I know PSG North, man, they're really looking forward to this one. They had won 28 straight regular season games. They got that lot. In the past 3 seasons, they've only had one loss. Those losses have come in the postseason. Well, now they tasted defeat earlier this year. They know what it felt like. They don't want it to happen again. So now they got a chance, man, to make a run here, another deep run as they have the previous 3 years for these guys. And I expect just a good matchup here, man. I think PSG North has a real shot in this one. We know how physical they are. Ethan Guerra, one of the best just ball carriers in all of Texas, man. I put my money on that. He's just a stud. And then, of course, defensively, the Black Shirts. We just know how good this PSG North defense is. Steven Garza, Jesse Montes there in the middle, two of the top just football players in the Rio Grande Valley. There's not many linebackers you see returning kickoffs, Ivan, or punts. PSG North, Steven Garza, they'll put him back there, man, because he's such a stud, athletic. And then Jesse Montes, man, he's just a game wrecker. So I'm expecting a good one coming out of this one. PSG North, New Braunfels, 7 p.m. Friday at Phil Donaher Stadium in Corpus Christi, the home field of the Calallen Wildcats. So really looking forward to that one. And before we continue on with our area round preview, we'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors here at RGV Sports who help us highlight these players and who have put it on the line all season long and now enter into the postseason looking to put together some a postseason run. So here's another message from our sponsors.
Test drive today at Clark Chevrolet and drive home a winner this December when you enter the Ticket to Ride the Great Tracks giveaway. Visit Clark Chevrolet for a test drive and you're in. It's that easy. No purchase necessary. 1 entry per household. Test drive today at Clark Chevrolet and drive home a winner. Get in on the Ticket to Ride the Great Tracks giveaway at Clark Chevrolet today.
For nearly a century, we're family.
Enter today when you visit Clark Chevrolet, US 83 McAllen, Texas.
Finding the certified pre-owned vehicle you want can be a challenge, but Clark Knapp Honda makes it simple. We put all our certified pre-owned Hondas through a rigorous inspection process and offer extended warranties and service agreements. In short, we make it simple to drive out the pre-loved Honda you've had your eye on. Clark Knapp Honda. Simply better.
Thank you once again to our sponsors here at RGV Sports for helping to shine a light on high school athletics and our football teams here in the Rio Grande Valley, looking to put together postseason runs as we enter the area around Thursday, Friday, and Saturday across South Texas. Yes, Ivan, now to dive into the Class 5A D2 preview, Ivan, we got couple Coastal Bend matchups, man. Sharyland Pioneer taking on Corpus Christi Miller.
Yes, sir.
The Diamondbacks, man. I mean, they got a young squad. I don't think that a lot of people thought they'd be here, yet here they are. The Diamondbacks, 8-3 overall, taking on Corpus Christi Miller, 9-2. Corpus Christi Miller, they started the year out ranked number 1 in our Coastal Bend rankings, and I don't think they've dropped any further than number 2.
No,
They're as good as they get. So this one, unfortunately, Sharyland Pioneer will have to go on the road to take on the Corpus Christi Miller Bucks. 7 p.m. Friday at Buccaneer Stadium in Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi Miller defeated Kerrville Tivy 66-28 in the bi-district round to punch their ticket to the area round. So Sharyland Pioneer, man, they'll have to bring it. They'll have to look to run the ball, keep the chains moving, and keep that ball away from just a high
explosive offense.
Yeah, high octane Corpus Christi Miller offense that we've seen up close and personal the last few years. Of course, we saw them go to battle against Brownsville Veterans in last year's regional final, and Corpus Christi Miller had a big lead before Brownsville Veterans charged their way back into that one. Now Corpus Christi Miller looks to take care of business and rebound against a Rio Grande Valley team here in the area round. So Sharyland Pioneer, Corpus Christi Miller, 7 p.m. Friday at Buccaneer Stadium in Corpus Christi. And then Ivan, we have we have 2 more Thursday games going on in Class 5A D1. Ed Couch Elsa, 9-2 overall, taking on the Bernie Greyhounds, 8-3 overall. 7 p.m. Thursday at Shirley Field in Laredo. Ivan, Bernie defeated Corpus Christi Carroll 39-21 in the first round, but Ed Couch Elsa, man, they're looking to make some noise in this one. And when you play good defense like the Yellow Jackets do, I think you always got a shot.
Definitely, man. You know, like you said, the defense, you know, it's their bread and butter. They're going to need it against Bernie. Bernie making that move up to 5AD2. They were 4AD1 last year, and now they get to take on Ed Couch, like you said, Thursday at Shirley Field in Laredo. So I think it's going to come down to the defense. I think they'll need Elijah Trevino to make some plays on offense as well. They got that running game going too with Aiden Garcia. So going to be an interesting one there. 7 p.m. Thursday at Shirley Field in Laredo. And just to kind of keep things going there at the 5AD2 level, we got Alamo Heights taking on Mercedes, 7 p.m. Thursday. That one's at Buccaneer Stadium in Corpus Christi. And Alamo Heights, man, they're undefeated. They got a 5-star in Michael Terry there. Not too sure where he's going to college, but they defeated Corpus Christi Rays 70-14 in that opening round.
Let's see if we can get Michael Terry to UTRGV. Huh?
Hey, right? Let's get him over here, man. Coach Bush, hey. But hey, you know, it's a tough draw for Mercedes in that first round, but you know Coach Adami's not going to let those boys go in unprepared. You got Robert Sanchez. They're going to probably lean on him heavily, and you know hopefully get something out of him there against that tough Alamo Heights team that many expect to come out of that region and make a run at that state, you know, title. You know, they got Miller too on the other side though, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out of there. So huge one, 7 p.m. Thursday at Buccaneer Stadium in Corpus Christi. So.
And yeah, you touched on the Port Isabel Tarpons earlier, Ivan. They're our only 4A team to advance into this area round here at 4A at the Class 4A Division II level. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Port Isabel Tarpons area round matchup?
Yeah, so they take on Lago Vista 7 p.m. Friday at Javelina Stadium in Kingsville. It's about a 2-hour drive for them heading up there. Lago Vista's coming off a 42-10 victory over Bandera, but you know, like I said earlier, PI can get dirty, they can get nasty. And those are the kind of offenses some teams don't like seeing in the playoffs. It's not something that you see quite often, that nasty slot where you don't know who's getting the ball. It's just all over the place. And Tony V does it well there at PI, so don't be surprised if PI is able to pull this one off against Lago Vista and punch a ticket to the third round. Tony V's been there. He's made deep playoff runs before, so you know he'll have this team ready to go. And you got guys like Luis Ramos back there, you know, Dylan Green. They're just playmakers all around. And, you know, the Smith brothers there, they play both ways defense. They play DB and receiver, so that's this Friday, 7 p.m. at Javelina Stadium in Kingsville against the Lago Vista Vikings. You know, huge one there at the 4A D2 level. And, you know, another team that you touched on at the 3A D1 level, our only 3A team to advance, Rio Hondo. They take on Universal City Randolph Friday, 7 p.m. at Warrior Stadium in Corpus Christi. That's Tulsa Midway's home stadium. And what can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, I mean, man, Rio Hondo, man, I mean, they've been on a run lately. They finished the season strong, and yeah, like they're playing without their best player, and they're not letting that bring them down, man. They're putting on for him, and Ruben Atkinson, you got a guy that's been there, done that, multi-year starter at the quarterback position, and he's led them into battle each game this year, 9-2 overall. Universal City Randolph also 9-2 on the other end. Universal City Randolph defeated Hondo 59-39 in their first round game, while Rio Hondo dropped 50 points on Corpus Christi London to get here. So really looking forward to this one, man. We'll see if the Bobcats can keep that run going there. Class 3A Division I action, like you said, Ivan, 7 p.m. at Warrior Stadium in Corpus Christi, Tuloso Midway's home field. So that one coming up Friday at 7 p.m. Now, to keep it moving, man, Class 2A, Division II, the La Villa Cardinals, who you said, Ivan, not many teams are riding such a winning streak entering the postseason. Well, the Cardinals are, man. 7 straight wins for them. They're 7-3 overall. They take on Granger, who is 8-3 overall, at 7 p.m. at Lion Stadium in Kennedy on Friday night. So Granger, they defeated La Pryor 49-6, took care of business there in round one. And La Villa, man, they'll be up to the challenge. They dropped 42 points in just an all-around effort there in round one to get here over Luis. So we'll see this one, man. Isaiah Felix, Andrew Gonzalez, Sean Saenz, Frankie Ray Gonzalez. They got some dudes, man. Do the Cardinals, and Coach Danny Bettis, man. I mean, just what a job he does with the La Villa Cardinals. Just every year in, year out, it seems like for more than 5 years. I mean, we know how good Isaiah Felix's older brother Brandon was. Helped La Villa win multiple district championships, multiple playoff games. Now it's younger brother's turn. Isaiah Felix comes in here. We'll see what they can do against Granger here in the area round. And Ivan, like we said, to wrap up here, we stray away from that UIL level to take us into the TAPS, to that TAPS level, and where Brownsville St. Joseph has been just a really standout team from start to finish, and here they are looking to keep their season going as they enter, like we said, the regional round of the playoffs.
Yes, sir. So Brownsville St. Joseph is set to take on Houston Second Baptist at 7 p.m. Friday at Edgewood Veterans Stadium in San Antonio. And this is the same team that knocked them out of the postseason last year, but this is a completely different St. Joseph team. A lot of the players are the same from last year, but they were banged up last year. They had, the tragedy that they went through last year with all that stuff. And then, Houston Second Baptist, they're not no slouch. They're 9-2 overall. They defeated Victoria St. Joseph 42-7, but I wouldn't count the Bloodhounds out. I mean, if you look at their common opponents, Houston Second Baptist beat Lutheran South 28-3. St. Joseph's beat them 40-14. Houston Second Baptist played Victoria St. Joseph in the first round 42-7. St. Joe's beat them 50-7. I think these two teams are evenly matched. I think a lot of people expect Houston Second Baptist to come in and just run over them, but like I said, these aren't the same Bloodhounds from a year ago. They're motivated, they're healthy. They got some dogs that have just turned it up to another level this year, from Diego, Claudio, Gavin. I mean, they're all playmakers, and like I said earlier, the coaching staff, they adjust. Don't expect them to come out in the same game plan as last week. They might watch film from last week. Who knows what they bring out this week, but one thing's for sure, Coach Tino Villarreal and that staff, they're going to have them ready to go and hopefully punch their ticket to that state semifinal a week from now.
Yeah, so that wraps up the area round preview here for our 13 teams who picked up first round playoff wins to earn their shot in the second round, kept their season alive, get another shot this weekend to prove that they can put together a playoff run. So we're looking forward to all that action kicking off here, and it kicks off Thursday, got the majority of the games Friday, and then it all wraps up Saturday at the Dome in San Antonio. So really looking forward to bringing you all this action. You can catch it all at rgvsports.com and football.rgvsports.com to catch our previews, breakdowns, notebooks, everything on high school football here in the Rio Grande Valley, as well as our stats and standings. And Ivan, why don't you tell them where they can follow our in-game updates, highlights, post-game interviews, and all that good stuff on our social media sites.
Yeah, so any game day, you can find me and Bryan there tweeting out. You can see those updates either on our personal Twitters, at by Ivan Palacios or at by Bryan Ramos, or you can follow our RGV Sports, where you'll catch all our retweets there with our updates from games, final scores, scoring plays, whatever you need. And you can also follow us on YouTube for post-game highlights, post-game interviews, all that stuff you need, and this very podcast, so you can go ahead and listen and get ready for this next week coming up.
Yeah, big week coming up here in high school football. The area round of the playoffs. We'll see. We can't wait for. We can't wait, man. We're just looking forward to it. Bunch of teams putting it on the line across South Texas. Here in the Rio Grande Valley, going to the Coastal Bend, hitting Laredo for a couple big games. And then, of course, there's some big ones going on in San Antonio.
Yes,
so
sir.
we can't wait to bring it all to you guys. So that wraps up this episode of the RGV Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
This is Reynaldo Morales, and I'm one of the general surgeons here at Mid-Valley Surgeons. We have a variety of techniques to take care of whatever issue is bothering you, and our goal is to get you back on your feet in the shortest amount of time possible. So if you're having a problem and need a surgical intervention, feel free to come see us. We're here and waiting for your call. Thank you.